Ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha. I've been busy with day job stuff for the past couple of weeks, so I've been forced to sit back and watch a great deal of changes come about in the gaming world that I wanted to comment on, but the majority of it is now essentially old news. However, this week some news came out about Activision Blizzard that got me thinking about everything that has happened with that company over the course of the past month, and it really perked up my ears as I sensed a disturbance in the force, as if millions of loot boxes suddenly cried out and then were silenced. I sensed something wonderful had happened, at least for gamers, and I wanted to go over things. So as always, facts first, then opinions. Here is the information that we'll be working with in this video. In December of last year, it was reported that over 100 Blizzard employees had exited the Cork, Ireland Customer Service Office, the main European hub for Blizzard customer service. The employees that left had taken advantage of a voluntary program being offered by Activision Blizzard that had been offered 5 times previously, and the pot of money had steadily increased until it amounted to a full year's salary for some, if not most, members of the staff. This coincided directly with Activision Blizzard announcing they were spinning Heroes of the Storm down into basically maintenance mode and had canceled Heroes Global Championship and Heroes of the Dorm 1 week previous to the employee voluntary exit, seemingly without even notifying the esports teams that would be affected by this, and putting a great many people, not just pro players, out of work right before Christmas. Then in the end of December, it was announced that Activision Blizzard intended to fire their chief financial officer Spencer Neumann, and that Dennis Durkin would be taking over as CFO January 1st. A few short days later, it was reported that another Blizzard chief financial officer, Amrita Ahuja, had apparently left Activision Blizzard and was joining Square Incorporated, not to be confused with Square Enix, as their new chief financial officer. Then January 10th, Bungie Entertainment made the official announcement that they were parting ways with Activision Blizzard and that publishing rights to the Destiny franchise would be transferred into Bungie's control, and that process was already well underway, which came as joyous news for the fans of the Destiny franchise. And finally, one day after that announcement, we learned that Activision Blizzard and some of the company's officers are being actively investigated by Pomerantz law firm for suspected securities fraud, or what is stated as other unlawful business practices. The announcement made on PR Newswire stated that the Pomerantz firm is, quote, acknowledged as one of the premier firms in the areas of corporate, securities, and antitrust class litigation. Those are the basic facts surrounding this, so let's move on to my thoughts on what all of this means. Now, obviously, the key takeaway here is that Activision Blizzard is being investigated for suspected securities fraud by a law firm that, well, this is their everyday. This is what they do, and they're seemingly quite good at it, although on a matter of professional pride, if they're such an amazing law firm, they should really update their website, but that's neither here nor there. Now, the reason why I included all the other instances leading up to the announcement of the investigation is because typically these investigations are only announced publicly after they've been underway for a significant period of time, because you don't want to give the naughty execs out there too much of an opportunity to cover up their allegedly illegal activities. And also, if it's being announced publicly, then it stands to reason that Activision Blizzard has been well aware of the ongoing investigation for quite some time. So when you look at all of these events, which took place over the span of less than 30 days, mind you, through the lens of an active securities fraud investigation, and all of it begins to take on a clearer meaning. Blizzard actively paying over 100 employees a year's worth of wages to go find jobs elsewhere. They're divesting themselves of any IP that, while still profitable, isn't making vast amounts of money to fill the Activision Blizzard coffers, Bungie rightfully capitalizing on that opportunity as a key moment for them and for Destiny 2, and Activision Blizzard losing not one, but 2 chief financial officers. Now take all of this together, and it paints a picture of a corporation knowing it is going to be looking at not just a rough year, but stormy waters for the foreseeable future, and they're attempting to do what they can in order to batten down the hatches, streamline as much as they can, trim whatever fat possible, all born out of a desire to keep the company alive. A lot of people have been stating that now that the Destiny IP is out of Activision's hands, Bungie will be able to turn things around, and perhaps they can. With the Forsaken DLC, that is apparently being very well received by people that still play the game, and with the buzz about losing Activision, Bungie does have a prime opportunity here to capitalize on some good PR. But lest we forget, Bungie themselves had made their own fair share of mistakes with Destiny 2. In December 2017, I released a fairly extensive video that discussed the myriad controversies that surrounded the game at that time, that included the 3 of Coins controversy, the player ban controversy, the Curse of Osiris DLC, the faction faction rally, Bungie seemingly paywalling their game forums, the job listing for a senior progression designer whose job listing was to develop monetization-based progression systems, translation, pay-to-win microtransactions, the hashtag remove Eververse controversy, the issue with shaders when the game launched, the Dawning event that required hefty expenditures of money on loot box mechanics in order to earn the items you wanted from that event, the controversy surrounding Bungie throttling XP rates without disclosing that throttling to players, Bungie's terrible communication or complete lack thereof, and of course their constant promises that they were listening and hearing players while doing absolutely nothing. Bungie Entertainment have not done enough in my eyes yet to warrant my even attempting to download Destiny 2 again, hence the watermark that has been at the top of your screen. I gave up on the game long ago, and I personally see no need to return, but again, that is merely my own preference. Many fans have been stating that Bungie has been making good on a lot of promises and have earned back some trust within their community, which I think is very laudable. Will they turn things around now that they have cast off the monetization yoke that is Activision Blizzard? Well, I certainly hope so. And there is a very clear reason for that, you see, and that reason is an example that I want to place out there, the CD Projekt Red. Now, that company is now large enough to be self-sustaining, and they don't need a publisher in order to succeed. CD Projekt Red has capitalized on a concept that I've always held close to my heart. Create a great game that people love, treat your customers with the respect they are due, provide meaningful content, DLC that has enough within it to be well worth the purchase price, and put out some free interim DLC packages to help keep the interest levels high. CD Projekt Red has capitalized greatly on that business model. They've proven the profitability of a good game being sold at a fair price without loot box monetizations and the majority of the other schemes that have become so integral to the industry at large, particularly with the large publishers like Activision Blizzard, Electronic Arts, Gearbox, and Take-Two Interactive. That concept of a good game and good value-add content at a fair price is what this industry desperately needs, and the only way to get it is to have more development companies cast off the shackles of the publisher companies and succeed while doing so. So yeah, I do absolutely hope that Bungie is able to succeed. I hope that they continue to improve Destiny 2 and turn it into a game worth playing, and I hope even more that they develop and self-publish Destiny 3 without predatory microtransactions and have it be a worthwhile game at launch. Then improve upon that good game experience over time with meaningful and worthwhile events and DLC that don't feel like price gouging. If they do that, I feel that they will succeed spectacularly well. But what about Activision Blizzard? Well, only time will tell. We have nowhere near any sort of information that would even allow us to posit theory on what might even happen there. But if found guilty, the company and some or many of its executives could be looking at a very, very tough road ahead. Now, if only we could get that law firm to look at Electronic Arts next. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I know my content has been light these past couple of weeks, so I do appreciate everyone's patience while I deal with my day job project load. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and I'll see you next time.